Did you also get that feeling of, wait, is that it? When you saw the credits rolling in Terminator 2D No Fate? Because look, the game is fun. It has a great retro vibe, and it understands exactly what it wants to be. But the burning question is simple. Is it too short? And before anyone comments, oh, but retro games are just like that, hold on. Today, I'm going to tell you the truth that almost no one talks about. The problem isn't just the duration. It's what the game delivers within that time, how much reason it gives you to come back, and if this shortness feels intentional, or if it feels like something was missing. So let's put it on the table. How long it actually lasts, what changes on the replay, and if it's worth the price and the expectation, especially for those who love old school 2D action. I'm Matthew, and the video starts right now. You know how frustrating it is to finish a game thinking you got everything, but deep down, you know you just breezed through and missed the juice of the experience? Terminator 2D No Fate is one of those arcade running guns that many people rushed through in 30 to 45 minutes on easy difficulty, just grabbing the main story without dying, like those speedrunners who post S rank in 38 minutes and leave complaining that it's too short. These average completion times floating around, like less than an hour for the base campaign, are actually for those flying low, without exploring the choices that change the path or enjoying the movie references. I was one of those who rushed it the first time, thinking I'll beat it quick to see if it's worth the hype, and I ended up with a lukewarm experience, like watching T2 on fast forward. I saw the pretty pixels of the T1000 transforming, but I didn't feel the weight of the chase. A normal player who enjoys the retro genre like me takes about 1 hour 30 to 2 hours to really beat it, dying a few times, collecting extra continues, and testing the difficulty variations that change enemies and traps. That's where the game shines, because on easy it's a breeze, but bump it up to normal and it turns into a Contra with the scent of Terminator, forcing you to learn patterns instead of just spamming shots. The problem with rushers is that they ignore how the game rewards patience. Every death resets your rank to E, and without deaths, you get an S. But for that, you need to master stages of 2 to 5 minutes each, which shift from run and gun to beat 'em up in the bar scene or the motorcycle chase. Many reviews and forums show this. People finish in 45 minutes on easy, complain about the brevity, but return for hard and spend 90 minutes just on the main campaign, unlocking alternative endings that add unique missions. I messed up bad in my initial rush, missing the taste of empowering Sarah with a shotgun against the T1000, or the terror of the hunter killers in the future war. Comparing it, the average time on sites like How Long to Beat, which is still forming for the new game, will skew lower because of these rushes, but a normal player like us, a fan of old school arcade, aims for 2 to 4 hours total with replays, including boss rush and extra modes like Mother of the Future. It's the opposite of an infinite Metroidvania. This is pure arcade, designed for short but addictive sessions, and those who rush leave with a feeling of, is that all? While those who play normally absorb the homage to the movie and the original Nintendo classics. In the end, if you rush Terminator 2D No Fate, you're going to have a worse experience, like eating fast food on the run. It satisfies you in the moment, but leaves you empty. I learned the hard way. Now I play slow, crank up the difficulty, hunt for the 3 endings, and the game becomes a love letter to the 90s that is worth every pixel. Don't fall into the timer trap. Enjoy the process, die, learn, and No Fate becomes your epic destiny. Is the game short or played wrong? That's the question I ask everyone who complains that the game ends in the blink of an eye. Like, just 1 hour and done? In reality, it is pure old school arcade, made for quick sessions like Contra or Metal Slug. But a lot of people go straight for the objective, running through stages without testing the ramifications the system offers, and then leave frustrated thinking they paid expensive for a demo. I fell for this on the first run, thinking only about the main campaign, but when I stopped to breathe, I saw that short is an illusion for those who don't dive in. Going straight for the goal means beating it in 40 to 50 minutes on easy, taking just the linear path from John to Sarah, ignoring choices that change the level design, like diverting to the cyber lab or taking the river path with more hunter-killers. Taking advantage of the system is another story. Bump it to normal or hard, and every stage becomes a puzzle of enemy patterns, with limited continues that force precision, unlocking extra endings and variant boss fights. I took 1 hour 45 on my second playthrough, dying to mini T-1000s and learning the shotgun dance, and then the game transformed from too fast to perfect for replay. The negative narrative comes from this collective hurry. 27-minute speedruns on YouTube make everyone think that's all there is, but they skip the juice. The beat-em-up transitions in the bar, the frame-perfect movie references, and the score system that punishes spam and rewards mastery. A normal player enjoys the loop. Die, adjust, come back stronger, and the 2 to 3 total hours with replays reveal layers, like the Mother of the Future mode that expands the future war. I messed up big time by rushing, missing the terror of those dropships, but now I see the genius in the lean design. Terminator 2D isn't played wrong because it's short. It's brilliant for those who respect the arcade ethos. 20-minute sessions per stage that are as addictive as a rented NES game from the video store. Compared to an infinite Metroidvania, here the focus is intensity, not duration, and those who exploit the system, difficulties, secrets, S ranks, have 4 to 5 hours of solid content without filler. My personal opinion? It's a gem for quick nights, but only rushers call it too short. Deep down, the game challenges you not to play it wrong. Stop running to the end. Enjoy the chaos of mutant T-800s and the weight of every bullet, and it becomes unforgettable. I turned my initial disappointment into obsession, farming perfection in the stages, and now I defend it tooth and nail. Enjoy the system, and no fate grabs you forever. The cinematic pacing is intentional as hell, as if the devs took Cameron's movie and distilled it into arcade pixels that throw you from one mind-blowing chase to another without giving you time to blink. I felt this in my veins right in the first stage, with the moto chase echoing the iconic T-1000 scene, where every shot and jump has blockbuster weight. Short, direct, no stalling to keep the adrenaline high. It is an intense experience, not an infinite one, designed to leave you sweating in 45 minutes of the main campaign, but with replays that extend the addiction without forcing filler. Compared to the movies, it's like watching T2 entirely in one breath. The original has 137 minutes of pure tension, no dead scenes, and the game mirrors this in stages of 3 to 5 minutes that hit like chapters. From the bar beat-em-up to the cyberlab invasion, everything flows like a 90s action montage. I rushed thinking it was too short, but on the second go, I saw the genius. No boring grinding, just difficulty spikes that make you die to mini Terminators and come back sharper. Just like rewatching the movie to catch details that escaped you in the rush. This old school arcade design screams perfect session. Not an infinite marathon like some Metroidvanias that trap you for 20 hours but leave you exhausted. Here, the cinematic pacing pushes you toward S rank on normal, with variant endings that reward precision, like the expanded future war that hits like the movie's climax. My personal experience? First run was too fast, but enjoying the pacing gave me hours of memorable boss rushes, proving that less is more when it's done well. Think of NES classics like Contra. No one complains that it ends in 30 minutes because the impact stays. And Terminator 2D takes this to the next level with lore fidelity. Shotgun on Sarah, T-1000 morphing, everything frame perfect to the film. It's memorable because it respects your time. Play on the bus, beat it at lunch, and dream of enemy patterns at night. I became a fan of this sharp brevity, far from the negative narratives of shallow content. In the end, the intentional pacing turns short into a virtue, like a cult movie you rewatch forever. I learned the hard way. Stop measuring by hours, feel the cinematic intensity, and Terminator 2D, No Fate, becomes your reference for modern arcades that honor the past without dragging on. Replayability is the point that almost no one mentions, but it's what transforms this short arcade into a bottomless pit of addictive runs, like those days you rented Contra and beat it 10 times in a row. On the first playthrough, a lot of people fly through the main campaign in 45 minutes on easy, thinking it's over. But extra modes like Boss Rush, Mother of the Future, and ramping difficulties change everything. Normal already forces you to learn hunter-killer patterns, and hard becomes an insane test of precision, with more aggressive enemies and fewer continues. I ignored this at first, complained about the brevity, but on the second run, I dove into these challenges and saw the game reborn. What few people talk about is how technical runs elevate the duration. To get an S rank without deaths, you need to master shotgun combos on the T-1000 morphing, or the beat 'em up in the bar with perfect timing. And then every replay adds 20 to 30 minutes just to polish a stage. Higher difficulties unlock alternative paths, like extra endings with expanded Cyberlab missions, or moto chases with more mini Terminators, making the duration jump from 1 hour to an easy 3 to 4 hours on the second playthrough. My experience? First time was a rush, second was an obsession. I died 50 times to the final boss until I dominated, and the score system hooked me like a pure arcade addiction. Modes like Boss Rush throw you straight into iconic confrontations, from the T-800 truck smash to the future war swarm, and daily challenges, if they're in the patch, or global leaderboards incentivize optimized runs without boring grinding. Almost no one mentions it because they focus on the base campaign, but that's where it shines. The second playthrough reveals technical layers, like weapon swaps mid-air or dodge rolls for mini-Ts, extending the game to 5 to 6 hours total without filler. I turned this upside down. What was too short became my nightly therapy, proving that replayability is the beating heart. The duration changes a lot on the second playthrough because the system rewards technique over speed. On easy, it's linear, but go up to hard and every death resets your grade, forcing surgical restarts that double the invested time. Compared to infinite beat-em-ups, here it is focused, short but dense challenges, with variants that make you go back to the Cyberlab or River Path just to test different builds. Personally, this replayability won me over. Now I have 8 hours logged, farming perfection, and I argue it's a gem for retro fans who hate bloat. Deep down, replayability saves Terminator 2D from any narrative of too short. It's the secret rushers miss, but for those who dive into modes, difficulties, and technical runs, it becomes infinite without tiring. I learned the hard way. Stop at the first victory, lose the potential, go back for hard, and no fate challenges you forever, marking it like the great arcades of the 90s. Difficulty completely alters the perception of time, transforming what seems like 40 minutes of play on easy into an abyss of hours on normal or hard, where every stage becomes a war of attrition that makes you question your arcade sanity. On normal, the hunter-killers arrive in denser waves, the mini T-1000s are faster and more treacherous, and limited continues force restarts that stretch the Cyberlab from 5 to 20 minutes just to pass. I played on easy thinking it was a cakewalk, but bumped it to normal and the time doubled instantly. Deaths became expensive lessons, and what was a rush became a technical marathon. Playing normal versus hard is practically a different game, with hard throwing extra traps like T-800's flanking in the bar beat 'em up, or rare shotgun drops in the moto chase, changing entire paths and unlocking endings only for the persistent. On normal, you still feel the cinematic pace, but hard breaks you. Enemies with sharp AI, bullets filling the screen like Contra on NES, and a score system that punishes any mistake with an E grade, extending runs to 90 minutes just on the campaign. Personally, my first hard run humbled me on the future war swarm, but it justifies extra hours without sounding like an excuse. It's natural evolution for the retro fan. This escalation justifies more hours because it reveals the brilliant design. Easy is a tutorial in disguise. Normal is the real game with patterns to master, and hard is endgame for immaculate S ranks, where the shotgun dance on Sarah becomes art. Many people stop at easy and call it short, but I invested 2 hours on hard just for the variant bosses, feeling the weight of the T-1000 morphing like never before. Great for breaking the negative narrative, proving that duration isn't length, but density. Every death adds layers without boring filler. Comparing perceptions, on easy time flies and frustrates due to brevity, but normal hard anchors you in the addictive arcade loop, where more hours emerges organically from dying, adjusting, and sweaty victories. It's like going from watching T2 casually to analyzing it frame by frame. Hard exposes subtle references, like dropships echoing the film, that escape in the rush. My take? I upped the difficulty and the game gained eternal life, justifying the investment without forcing modern grinding. In the end, difficulty isn't a crutch to lengthen, but what redefines time in Terminator 2D, No Fate, turning a short arcade into a replayable classic for those who dare. I learned the hard way. Easy is the entry door, hard is the epic destination. And now I passionately defend that half an hour well played is worth more than 10 lukewarm hours. The value in Terminator 2, No Fate, is in the pure content, not on the clock marking empty hours. And that is what separates true arcades from long games artificially inflated with endless grinding or side quests that just fill space. I saw this the moment I beat the base campaign in 45 minutes on easy and thought, is this it? But every pixel carries weight. Frame-perfect movie references, shotgun blasts on the T-1000 morphing, and dense stages like the bar beat-em-up that hit harder than 10 hours of fetch quests in modern open worlds. Compared to those AAA titles that trap you for 40 hours just to farm skins, here the focus is intensity, without distractions that dilute the juice. Long games, like certain artificially inflated RPGs or Souls-likes, force boring backtracking, or mandatory NG+ to justify the price. But Terminator 2D delivers everything up front. Cinematic pacing that throws you from Moto Chase to Cyberlab without mercy, with every death teaching patterns instead of wasting time. I rushed thinking it was short, but on the second run on normal, I saw the value. No fat, just juicy old school arcade meat, where a 5-minute stage rivals entire acts of tedious narratives. It is liberating for those who enjoy retro without the bloat that leaves you exhausted without real satisfaction. Short but no fat. This phrase defines the game perfectly, because while others stretch with empty dialogue or empty maps, Terminator 2D cuts the superfluous and goes to the bone. Hunter-killer swarms that test reflexes, variant endings that reward precision, and boss fights that echo T2 without needing long cutscenes. My personal experience? I went from casual fan to obsessed because the content is so sharp that replays on hard add organic hours, not forced ones, proving that quality crushes quantity every time. It is the antithesis to the bloated games that promise worlds but deliver boredom. Think of NES classics like Contra or Metal Slug. No one calls them bad for being short, because the value is in the mastery that gets you addicted, and Terminator 2D honors this with twists like the expanded Future War or treacherous mini-tees that demand a perfect shotgun dance. Artificially long games often mask weak mechanics with padding, but here every bullet counts, every jump matters, creating striking memories in half an hour. I defend this with claws out. Better 1 dense hour than 20 lukewarm ones. Deep down, the clock lies in Terminator 2D, No Fate. The value explodes in technical runs, ramping difficulties, and faithful homages that make you come back without guilt, while the inflated giants charge your time for little return. I learned the hard way. Prioritize content over duration, and this arcade becomes an eternal gem. Short but lean, straight to the heart of 90s pure action fans. Wrong expectation created by other 2D games is what brings No Fate down the most, because a lot of people arrive expecting a long Metroidvania like Hollow Knight, full of interconnected maps, infinite upgrades, and 20 hours of exploration, and end up frustrated when the linear arcade throws you straight into the action without mercy. I fell into this trap too, coming from eternal runs in Metroidvania beat-em-ups that hook you with addictive backtracking, and I thought, where's the giant map for the Cyber Lab? But the game never promised that. It is pure old-school run-and-gun, inspired by Contra and Metal Slug, where short stages of 3 to 5 minutes test you immediately. To be clear, Terminator 2D is not a Metroidvania, nor does it have the exploratory bloat that defines the genre. There are no ability gates to revisit old areas or secrets behind 100% map completion here. It is straight to the bone, with intense moto chases and shotgun blasts on the T-1000 morphing that end in 45 minutes on easy. Many people compare it wrongly with modern 2D titles that stretch duration with layers of progression, but I learned the hard way. Expect cinematic arcade, and the rhythm explodes in adrenaline, not in grinding for late wall jumps. It is liberating for those who enjoy retro without frills. The expectation comes from this wave of indie 2D that prioritizes longevity over impact. Games like Dead Cells or Ori give you hours of roguelike or meticulous platforming, creating the mental mold of good 2D equals long. But Terminator 2D breaks this on purpose, focusing on quick sessions that echo the T2 movie without detours. My first playthrough was marked by this disappointment, looking for hidden secrets in the river path or bar beat-em-up. But the second time on normal, I saw the brilliance. Arcade precision that gets you addicted without holding you all day. It's not laziness from the devs, it's fidelity to the NES ethos that many forget. Think about the confusion. Metroidvania fans expect backtracking to the future war or explorable hunter-killer nests. But the game delivers variant paths via difficulty and endings, extending technical runs without pretending to be something it's not. I defend it with passion now. Coming from lists of Metroidvanias, I almost ignored this gem, but embracing linear brevity gave me infinite replays and boss rushes, far from the fatigue of exhausting maps. Wrong expectations steal the juice. Adjust for arcade and it becomes an instant classic. In the end, Terminator 2D No Fate suffers for not being a long Metroidvania, but that is its strength. Short intensity that hits harder than inflated marathons, making it clear from the first stage that it won't stall you with eternal upgrades. I turned my broken expectation into pure love. Play it as a retro run and gun, ignore the modern 2D hype, and No Fate conquers you without false promises. The campaign is just the beginning for those who really love action, like you, who already beat Contra on the NES without continues, and know that the real juice is in the mastery, not the final cutscene. I thought it was over after 45 minutes on easy, running through the moto chase and shotgunning the T-1000. But for hardcores like us, that's just the warm-up. The linear Cyber Lab becomes a playground for insane timing tests. That's where the game calls you to the real ring, challenging you to master mechanics that casuals ignore. Personal challenges explode afterwards. Set goals like S-rank without deaths in the bar beat 'em up, where every punch on the T-800 needs to be pixel perfect not to reset your grade to E, or on hard, where hunter killers flank like a living swarm. I created my own. Mid-air shotgun dance on the river path, dying 30 times until hitting the combo that clears the screen in 90 seconds. And that transformed half an hour into hours of pure flow state. For you who enjoy hardcore action, it's not about beating it, it's about breaking your limits, proving that shotgun of plasma on 80% of the bosses. Mastering mechanics reveals the hidden genius. Dodge rolls for morphing mini T-1000s, weapon swaps in mid-jump to maximize damage on the future war swarm, and variant paths that only open with surgical precision on normal hard. My performance went from lukewarm rush to elite after farming boss rush. Time per stage dropped 40%, but satisfaction exploded, because now I control the chaos like John Connor in the rewritten Destiny. Hardcore player, you know, campaign is a tutorial. Mastery is the eternal endgame without forced NG+. Improving performance becomes a personal vice, with mental leaderboards where you track deaths to S rank on the T1000 truck smash, or clears in Mother of the Future mode that stretch runs to 2 hours of intensity without fatigue. I recorded my bad runs to laugh later, seeing how spamming fails where technique shines, and now I aim for sub 30 on hard total. I'm talking to you, who have already mastered Metroidvanias and beat-em-ups, when I say, this hits harder than any infinite list. The campaign just opens the door. You build the palace of challenges. Deep down, for those who truly enjoy action, Terminator 2D doesn't end with the campaign. It prods you toward the hardcore loop of self-challenge, where mastering shotgun blasts and enemy patterns justifies entire nights without blinking. I flipped this upside down, from too short to daily obsession, and I know you, true gamer, will feel the same. Enter, break it, evolve, and no fate becomes your personal manifesto of arcade perfection. The price of the game hits a sensitive spot, because a lot of people look at the clock, 45 minutes for the easy campaign, and scream, expensive as hell for a $20 indie. But without sugarcoating it, that is the wrong mentality for those who confuse arcade with bloated AAA. I paid full price at launch, rushed it thinking it was robbery, but the value is in the density. Pixel-perfect shotgun blasts on the T1000, moto chases that hit T2 frame by frame, and rhythm that gets you addicted without wasting your time. Who will think it's expensive? The casuals who want 20 hours of filler, coming from eternal Metroidvanias and leaving frustrated by linear brevity. For those, it is unfair because they expect a 2D open world or infinite grinding. But the game delivers pure old-school arcade experience, without microtransactions or loot boxes. It's you versus hunter-killers in insane waves, where every death costs a grade and a continue, justifying the price in raw intensity. My second run on normal doubled the organic time, mastering the bar beat-em-up and cyberlab paths. And then the cost-benefit explodes for those who enjoy retro action like Contra rented from the video store for a whole week of replays. Who will find it fair are the hardcore run-and-gun fans. You who beat Metal Slug in 30 minutes, but come back 50 times for S rank, seeing the price as a bargain for modes like Boss Rush, hard with flanking enemies, and variant endings that extend it to 4 or 5 hours without forcing it. I became a fierce defender after farming performance in the future War Swarm. $20 for this beats any inflated Souls-like that traps you for a psychological price. It's not for everyone, but for those who value mastery over duration, it is a steal in favor of the player. Without making excuses for the devs, if you stop at easy and complain, the price seems salty because it ignores the replayable loop. But for those who up the difficulty and create personal challenges like sub 90 on hard total, it becomes a genius investment. Compared to long games that mask weak mechanics with empty hours, here every pixel counts, and my logged time has already passed 7 hours, proving that delivered experience crushes the clock. Those who enjoy true action win, the others should look elsewhere. In the end, price versus experience in Terminator 2D, no fate, divides exactly like this. Expensive for casual rushers who measure by stopwatch, fair for arcade players who feel the weight of every bullet and return for the eternal no fate. I messed up my initial expectation, but now I beat my chest. It's worth every penny for those who play it right, turning short into a timeless classic without regrets. So, is it too short? Or is it the right experience in Terminator 2D, No Fate? Honestly, and without fanboying, it depends on what you are looking for in a retro 2D arcade game. If you want 20 hours of Metroidvania with a giant map and eternal upgrades, yes, the 45 minutes of the easy campaign will frustrate and seem like an inflated demo. But if you enjoy old school action like Contra or Metal Slug, where intensity beats duration, it is the right experience. dense stages from Moto Chase to Cyber Lab, shotgun blasts on the T-1000 morphing, and cinematic pacing that sucks you in without mercy or filler. I rushed the first time and complained, but replays on hard proved that short is a virtue for addictive sessions. Without sugarcoating, the game doesn't reinvent the wheel, and for casuals who stop at easy, it really is too short, justifying the tantrum of, "I paid $20 for half an hour?" The base campaign is linear as hell without backtracking or deep secrets that stretch it organically, and that can leave those who measure value by the stopwatch feeling empty. My honest conclusion? It is not for everyone. Those who hype it as an infinite epic are wrong, but it hits the mark for run and gun fans who value mastery and boss rushes and S ranks, turning brevity into eternal replay without forced grinding. The balance is in the replayability. Normal hard changes everything with insane hunter-killer patterns and variant paths, doubling the time to 2 to 4 hours without sounding like an excuse. Compared to long, inflated games with empty dialogue, here every pixel has the weight of T2, but without fanaticism. If you want deep narrative or exploration, skip it. Personally, I turn from critic to fan because it dominates the arcade ethos. Short, sharp, striking, but I admit it lacks a co-op mode or more endings to justify a universal full price. It is the right experience for root action, but too short for those expecting modern indie 2D. Without bias, buy it on sale if you doubt, test the demo if possible, and see if the loop grabs you. I hit 8 logged hours farming perfection in the bar beat-em-up and Future War, proving that duration changes with dedication, but it's no miracle for those who hate NES hard. And you guys? Is Terminator 2D No Fate too short, or the exact dose of pure arcade? Did you rush on easy and get frustrated, or dive into hard and are still addicted today? Tell me in the comments your runtime, best boss kill, and if it was worth the price. Let's debate if No Fate changes your verdict, or if it is overrated for retro fans. Drop it below, I'm reading everything.